Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today, we're going to be tackling Cyber Speedway for the Sega Saturn in a two-part Let's Play series. This game is a futuristic racing game by Sega, released in Japan as Gran Chaser. It was a very, very early Saturn release. In the United States, they brought it over as Cyber Speedway, and they made a couple modifications to the United States release, which we're going to be playing today. Mainly the soundtrack. The title screen theme and the ending theme is actually the same as the Japanese version. But in-game, they changed the electronic synthy-style music out with rock-style music. And it's just a very mid-90s style rock, mind you. Alt-rock, pretty much. And it's kind of weird. But that aside, the game itself is actually pretty fun once you get used to it. I actually ran through this game on stream last night and had actually some fun with it. It's an interesting little game. So we're going to play the story mode, although we're not really going to be paying attention to the story. We're going to be skipping through all the story because it's dumb. And as you can see here, you've got two game levels, and these are basically just two halves of the same game. You got standard level, which is your first 5 tracks, and then you've got the advanced level, which is alterations on the same track themes. And then once you do the advanced level, there's a 6th track at the end of the advanced level, and so there's 11 tracks total. So let's go ahead and start off with the standard mode. Skip through that. Nobody wants to hear that. At least I don't. And skip through this. Skip through this. And before you get into the race, you can change your settings and so forth. I actually don't really do anything with this. I found that I actually kind of play the best if I just leave it all at neutral. Later on, you get, as you go through the race, you get special upgraded abilities. You can boost, you can shield. And your rockets, your weapons, actually are more powerful towards the end of the game. So right now, we just have control of our basic engine, steering, and brake power. So I'm going to stick with stock settings, and that's pretty much it. This is kind of like Wipeout, where you get weapons, technically just a weapon. You can pick up rockets on the track and try to fire them out at your enemies. Not the most useful weapon in the game. But it is something to keep in mind, and it's very important on the final race. So by default, you press B to go, and if you let go of B and do it again, you do this little thing with your boost meter, and I still haven't quite figured it out. It seems like it just works better, or it makes turning a little bit easier for you by tapping your acceleration button like that. You can kind of do the same thing with the L and R triggers. It's sort of like your sharp turning or your drifting in your Wipeout series and games like that. But I don't really mess with that functionality too much. I mainly just let go of my acceleration button to sort of, if I want to try to power slide or something like that. C fires your rockets. That's a rocket. And there's another one. So, one thing I like to do in this game, you notice the game's in third person. You can actually zoom the camera out a little bit more. I actually find the game to be pretty wonky in third person. The frame rate really starts to struggle in third person. But by pressing X, you can go to first person, and the game becomes much smoother and much more playable. And this is how I recommend playing the game. And this is basically the only way I play the game. And I actually enjoy the game when I play it like this. It's pretty fast. The game does have a good sense of speed. The tracks are very bare bones for the most part, though. Even towards the end of the game, the tracks are very basic. A lot of tracks are very thin, and that's where the game gets its challenge from. Later on in the game, the tracks are so thin, it's hard to stay off the walls. And, you know, you touch a wall a few times, and the computer AI will catch up with you towards the end of the game. So, one other thing that's kind of interesting about this game is, you know, it's a lap-based game. It's a racing game, right? You want to get through 5 laps. You have to get to first place, otherwise you can't progress. And you have to use up a continue. And, but there are some other just like generic ships on the playfield, like traffic is what we could call it. So these little green ships, or green sleds as they call them, technically your craft in this game, they're called sleds. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a sled in a way, maybe. And more like a disc. A discus? I have no idea. And but there's also like general like drone sleds on the track that don't really do anything. They might, I think they could shoot at you later on in the game. No, maybe that's just the AI that was up close to me. But they get in the way. You can slam into them, they'll slow you down, so you gotta watch out for them. And it's best not to waste your rockets on them, because they don't do anything to you. They're just kind of there. They're just a nuisance. Like there's one right there. Now there are also shortcuts on a lot of the tracks in this game. Now I don't know if there's a shortcut on this track. I haven't bothered to try to look for one, because as you can see, I didn't really need one. But there is a time attack mode in this game. If you go to the free run mode on the main options menu, there's going to be an option there for time attack mode. And that's actually probably where most of the fun's going to be had in this game, because you don't have to deal with the story mode and stuff like that. And you can try to seek out the shortcuts. You can try to best your track times or compare times with friends and stuff like that. That's always been my favorite aspect of racing games, is just practicing tracks over and over and trying to better my times. But yeah, on many tracks there are shortcuts, but on many tracks as well, I don't know what the shortcuts are, if there are shortcuts on them, because I haven't found the shortcuts on every track. But I will show you the shortcuts that I do know. I know of at least 3 shortcuts, so. And whenever you start a new race, it doesn't take you back to the view you were in. So, yeah, I think there's actually a shortcut on this track. I think. If it's not this one, it's the rethemed one later on in the game. But yeah, when you start a new race again, or when you start the next race, it doesn't save your view settings, which kind of sucks.
Lap 2.
Yeah, this isn't the one. It's the retheme of this track that has a shortcut in it. And this track is so short, I highly doubt it has a shortcut. I haven't seen an opening or anything. If you look really closely at some of the walls, you'll notice like a small hole in it that you can fit through. But this track, I'm not really seeing anything. It's such a short track. And this is where like the mid-90s rock really starts to stand out. They start introducing vocals and stuff like that. It's just like, really? It's just so out of place. The instrumental stuff I actually don't mind, even though it doesn't fit either. It's just background noise to me, you know? But once they started tossing out vocals and stuff like that, I'm like, oh man, this is just weird. I'm playing a futuristic racing game with like mid-90s alternative rock. It just doesn't really work.
Final lap.
Alright, final lap. Which means we only have 3 more races to go. And that's it. So as you can see, the game actually is pretty fast, you know, especially in first-person mode, where the frame rate is heavily improved. It's got a good sense of speed, and I like that about this game. I really wish that they had more tracks in the game, and I wish they had some wider tracks. Longer tracks would be nice. And the story mode is just really kind of like, it's just dumb. It's just like these, you know, these portraits that come up, and they talk to you in really bad voices, and you're just like, ugh. It's like, is this supposed to motivate me or something? I have no idea. You would have been better off just giving me like a wall of text that I could just skip through instantly, instead of having to wait for like the sounds to load and stuff like that. And so this game had a lot of potential to be like almost a Wipeout competitor, if you know what I mean. Like, it had a few things been changed and some things been added. It really could have competed with Wipeout at the time. Because as a, you know, very early, you know, 3D game on the Saturn, it's definitely a competent 3D game for 1995, basically. And, or did the original in Japan come out in no, I don't know. I'm not even gonna go there. But the music, the story, quote unquote, cutscenes are just not very good. Really don't fit the game at all. But the actual, you know, engine itself, the gameplay itself is fine for the year it came out. And you know, I had some things like that been changed. I think this really could have been a pretty well-regarded Saturn game, actually. But right now, it's just a game that like everybody overlooks for good reason. You know, it's kind of like, do you really recommend a game like this to people? I mean, I will now because I've beaten it, and it's got a time trial mode. If it didn't have the time trial mode, I probably wouldn't recommend this game at all. Because the story cutscenes, it just really kills the flow of the game. Really kills the flow of the game. And, but it does have the time trial mode, and it's got tracks with shortcuts, which are fun to find. And, so it is fun, you know, for the price, you know, it'll cost now, you know, it's... I'm not gonna wholeheartedly recommend it, but if you kind of like what you see, you might want to try it out. If only for the time trial mode. But man, the game could have been just so much better. Just with a few tweaks, I think. Oh, that was a drone, okay. I always see the little green drones, and I'm like, oh crap, it's an opponent. And I fire my missiles at them stupidly when I don't need to. So on tracks like this, you don't want to go off the pavement part, because you do actually lower your speed when you do that. Except for this part coming up here where the track just disappears. Oh, something I forgot to mention is that I'm actually using a 3D control pad right now. Although I am using, I'm using the D-pad. I'm not using the analog controls. But this game does support the 3D pad controls. And something I found out recently I had no idea about is that any game that supports the racing wheel or the flight commander stick will work with the Saturn 3D control pad analog stick. And this game's no exception. So like, I'm gonna flip over right now. So now I'm using the analog stick, and it's way, way more sensitive. And super, like, look at this. It's, wow, really, really, I'm barely touching it right now. So you can actually use the analog stick. I'm gonna flip back to the D-pad. Oh yeah, the D-pad is way slower. So it's really cool. Like, a game this old actually supports the 3D control pad, which didn't come out for, what, 2 or 3 years in North America. So really cool stuff there. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty cool. I think is a game like this supports the 3D control pad. Pretty much any game that supports old analog controls with you know, either your racing wheel or your flight stick, they will support the 3D control pad analog stick, which is really cool. Your analog controls.
Okay, it's a short track.
Hey, the dude basically tells you what the track's like. He's like, oh, it's a short track. And you're just like, I don't freaking care. Every track in this game is short. So I don't think I get my upgraded weapon until the end of the advanced round. Oh, switch back to first person mode. So this track's a little tricky because you can very easily slam into the walls. And doing that slows you down.
Lap 2.
So we're going to take this one, we're going to want to try to take this one curve up here. Which I don't think I did in my Let's Play. Sorry, not my Let's Play. This is my Let's Play. In my stream. Yeah, I think that'll probably save a second's worth of time.
Lap 3.
We're going to do it again. Ah, it's got rockets up there. That's why it's important. Which is really not that important now, because as you can see, I'm in first. I'm not really having much trouble, although the AI is right behind me. You can look at your track map on the bottom left. And the red character is typically the one that is the fastest. And so you've really got to watch out for that guy. Which is where your upgraded rockets on the advanced mode is really, really important. On this mode, it seems you don't get the advanced rockets. Or maybe we do on the next track. Maybe it's only the final track. I don't know. If you slam into a wall a certain way, sometimes the wall will actually boost you, as opposed to slowing you down. And that actually happened a couple times on this track.
Superb racing, Shaw.
Alright, so we're on the final track for the standard mode.
You've done it. Speed will be important on it. Check this out.
Oh, he did give me the upgraded missile. Okay, great. So we can do some damage. So this track actually has a lava pit in the middle, which will damage you. Actually, not really damage you so much as it drains your power, which I guess drains your speed. So yeah, we got our upgraded rockets now. And when they land, they basically just explode in all different directions. And even if they don't touch the enemies, I've noticed that they have a tendency of actually hitting them regardless. Oops. So, really something that's good to know. And so let me, if I can get to a straightaway, well there's another one. Here you go. Bam. So big explosion now with the rockets versus a tiny explosion. And the track is, again, really, really thin, so it's easy to touch the walls.
Lap 3.
Honestly, this isn't really a game you want to let go of the gas on, though. You kind of want to just keep holding it down and just power slide through your turns if you can. Sort of drift through your turns versus like braking and stopping. You do have a shield meter, which is in the bottom right-hand portion of the screen. The sort of blinking red area tells you how much damage you've taken so far. And when your entire bar fills, you actually blow up and you die. I've only had that happen once on the very, very final track on advanced mode. Because on the advanced mode, on the final track, there's actually mines on the last track, and they deal a ton of damage to you. And it's the only track in the game that has mines on it. Alright, good. No problems there.
Way to go, kid. You did it. But the fun's just beginning. That was only the preliminaries. Real victory is waiting for you in the advanced level. I'll be there to help you beat the odds. Let's move.
So that's basically it, guys. That's the standard mode. So I'm going to go ahead and end this Let's Play right here. I'm going to be back shortly in a few days, or yeah, probably a few days, maybe even a couple weeks. I don't know. I've got a bunch of Saturn Let's Plays planned, so it just depends on when I feel like uploading these. I might space the parts out. I might not. Might do them back to back. But look for part 2 eventually from this. I'm going to play through the advanced mode, and we're going to see all 6 tracks in the advanced mode. And there's actually at least 2 shortcuts I know of, maybe 3 on the advanced mode. Yeah, no, there's 3. Actually, I didn't find any shortcuts on standard mode, now that I think about it. Although I am curious about the very first track, because there's one turn in the game where, or on the first track, sorry, where like you can kind of see off to the side, like there's a lot of extra detail. And a lot of times when you see that, it's something you can drive through. So I do want to experiment with the very first track and see what's going on with that. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll be back with part 2. We'll play through the advanced mode and finish up this game. So I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe, stay in touch, and keep up with what I'm doing here. Everybody else that already is, thanks as usual, and I hope you enjoyed the video once more. I'll catch you guys soon. Take it easy.